I opened my eyes, and the first thing I felt was a weight in my skull, as if someone was hammering nails from the inside. My mouth was so dry that my tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth. I tried to swallow, but there was only a metallic taste and a strange bitterness. For several seconds I just lay there, trying to focus. The ceiling was unfamiliar, white, high, with molding. Not ours, definitely not ours. The room smelled of someone else's perfume, something floral and too sweet, and something else, heavy, unpleasant. I turned my head to the left and saw her. She lay beside me on her back, one arm stretched toward me, the other thrown to the side, light hair spread across the pillow. Her face was turned toward me, eyes closed, lips slightly parted. She looked as if she were sleeping. But she wasn't sleeping. I knew it immediately, from the stillness, from the color of her skin, from how unnaturally frozen her arm was. I sat up sharply, my head spun, and I almost threw up. I grabbed the edge of the bed, trying to breathe, trying to understand what was happening. Sofia. Her name was Sofia. I remembered meeting her last night. Remembered how she smiled. Remembered the glasses, the music, her laughter. Remembered how we came up here, how she took my hand. And then, a blackout. A black hole, nothing, complete emptiness. The next thing I remember is now, this moment, she's beside me, dead. I looked at my hands. They were trembling. On the right one, scratches, shallow but obvious. On my wrists, red marks like fingerprints. Mine, hers. I looked around. The room was in mild disarray. Clothes on the floor. Her dress, my shirt, trousers. Glasses on the nightstand. A bottle of wine, almost empty. Everything looked like a typical morning after a passionate night. If not for her. I forced myself to look at her neck. There were marks, bluish imprints. Fingers. Someone's fingers had squeezed her throat. My fingers? I tried to remember, strained my memory, tried to pull anything from that black hole. But there was only a sensation, heat, pressure, some fragments. Her voice, my breathing, hands on skin. And then, nothing. I stood up. My legs were buckling. I made it to the bathroom, turned on the cold water, splashed it on my face, looked in the mirror. Pale face, red eyes, stubble. I looked like a man who had just done something irreversible, because it seemed that's exactly what happened. My thoughts were confused. I tried to build logic. We were alone. I woke up next to her body, on her neck, marks of strangulation, on my hands, scratches and signs of struggle. Memory blackout. Everything pointed to one thing. I strangled her. Not on purpose, not in cold blood, but I did it. A thought flashed through my head. Call the police, confess, say it was an accident, that I don't remember, that I didn't mean to. But then I thought about how that would sound. I came to my colleague's wife, we had sex, and I accidentally strangled her, but I don't remember anything. They'll lock me up, no question. I returned to the room, sat on the edge of the bed, away from her, tried to breathe evenly, tried to think. Why am I even here? Why Sofia? Why yesterday? And then I remembered. Revenge. It all started with revenge. 2 weeks ago I was told that the promotion they promised, that I deserved, was given to someone else, Mark. Her husband, Sofia's husband. I'd spent 3 years on this project, worked nights, gave it 100%. Everyone knew that position was mine. And they gave it to him. To Mark, who joined the company 2 years ago, who smiled at the right people and said the right words, and who did nothing except look presentable. I hated him. With every fiber of my being. And then the idea appeared. Not mine, or rather, not only mine. Anna, my wife. One evening, when I was complaining about the injustice yet again, she said, "You know he has a weak spot." I didn't understand at first. She smiled, coldly, as always. His wife, Sofia, I've heard about her. bright, beautiful, loves attention. You could show him that he's not as untouchable as he thinks. At the time it seemed like foolishness to me, childish revenge. But then the thought stuck. I started thinking about Sofia. Started imagining how I'd meet her by chance, how I'd talk to her, how I'd look into her eyes, how I'd take from him what he considered his. Not for romance, for revenge. And yesterday I did it. I met her at a bar, by chance, or not quite. Started talking, she smiled, we drank, she laughed, we drank more. And then, blackout. And here I am, next to her body. I don't remember what happened between us, don't remember the moment when everything went wrong, but the marks on her neck speak for themselves. I killed her. Maybe I didn't mean to, maybe it was an accident in a moment of passion, but it doesn't matter. She's dead, and I'm the last one who was with her. I closed my eyes and tried to remember at least something, at least one moment from that night. But there was only darkness, and a terrible feeling that I'd lost control. My name is Alex, I'm 33 years old, and until yesterday morning I was an ordinary person. Not a hero, not a villain, just a man who worked, paid his bills, came home to his wife, and tried to build a career. Now I'm sitting in this room, and I don't know who I am. A murderer? A victim of circumstances? A man who lost control at the worst possible moment? I grew up in an ordinary family, middle class, nothing exceptional. My father worked as an engineer, my mother as an accountant. They taught me simple things: work hard, be honest, achieve your goals. I graduated from university with good grades, got a job at a large company, started climbing. 3 years ago I married Anna. She wasn't my first. Wasn't even the brightest of those I dated. But she was different, cold, reserved. She didn't demand romance, flowers, vows from me. She just looked at me with her gray eyes and said, "You'll be successful, I see it." I liked that she believed in me. I liked that she didn't try to change me. She accepted me as I was, with all my ambitions, with all my need for control. Anna is a psychologist. She works with people who've experienced trauma, loss, crises. She knows how to listen, knows how to find words. But at home she almost never talks about her feelings. She's rational, pragmatic. Sometimes it seemed to me that she was studying me, like one of her clients, asking questions, observing reactions, drawing conclusions. But I didn't object. I liked being with someone who didn't pressure, didn't demand, didn't make scenes. In our personal life, there was room for things most people don't talk about out loud. We both loved control. I, to dominate. She, to allow me to. Or at least that's how it seemed to me. BDSM for us wasn't something extreme or frightening. It was part of our relationship. Mutual consent, boundaries, trust. I liked the feeling of power. She liked the feeling that she could let go of control in a safe space. That's what I thought. Now, remembering her cold eyes, her words 2 weeks ago, I'm beginning to doubt. She suggested Sofia to me, not directly, not as a plan, just a hint. You could show him that he's not as untouchable. Why did she say that? At the time, it seemed to me that she was just supporting me, that she was on my side, that she understood my pain from the injustice. Now I'm thinking, maybe she pushed me. But why? Anna never did anything without a reason. She's too smart, too calculating. I'm trying to remember exactly how she said those words, the intonation, the facial expression. She was sitting on the couch, legs crossed, holding a glass of wine, looking at me calmly, almost indifferently. His wife, Sofia, bright, beautiful, loves attention. How did she know Sofia loves attention? Had they met? Anna never said she'd been in touch with any of my colleagues' wives. I shook my head. Now's not the time to dig into details. Now I need to decide what to do. But the more I think about Anna, the more oddities surface. The last few months she's been distant, Not cold. She'd always been cold, but distant, as if her thoughts were somewhere far away. She started staying late at work more often, said there was a new client, a difficult case. I didn't ask questions, I trusted her. She started talking less. Before, when I'd come home, she'd ask how my day went. Now she'd just nod, return to her phone or book. I chalked it up to fatigue, to routine, to the fact that 3 years of marriage is no longer a honeymoon. But now I'm thinking, maybe she was already pulling away from me then. And if so, why? I'd always been what she wanted to see, successful, ambitious, controlling. And then I didn't get the promotion, and suddenly became not so successful, not so promising. Anna never told me directly that she was disappointed. She's not the type who makes scenes, but maybe that's exactly why she suggested Sofia to me? So I'd feel strong again, or so I'd do something that would finally destroy me. I closed my eyes and tried to push these thoughts away. Right now, the main thing is to understand what happened last night. I remember the bar. Remember seeing Sofia. She was sitting alone, drinking a cocktail, looking at her phone. I approached, introduced myself, said I'd seen her at the corporate event. She smiled, a bright, open smile, nothing like Anna's. We started talking. She told me about work, about projects. I listened, nodded, ordered another round. She rarely mentioned Mark, only in passing. My husband is always busy. He's at another meeting again. No warmth in her voice. I realized that things between them weren't as smooth as they seemed from the outside. And then I decided to act. Not because I wanted her, because I wanted to hurt him. Mark, the one who took my position. I flirted, she responded. We drank more, then more. At some point she put her hand on my wrist and said, "Want to come to my place?" I remember how we left the bar, remember getting into a taxi, remember her laughter in the car, and then blackout. I don't remember how we went up to her place, don't remember what we said, don't remember when exactly everything went wrong. I just know that when I opened my eyes, she was dead. And I'm the only one who could have done it, because there was no one else there. 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in the director's office listening to words that destroyed everything I believed in. The director was saying that the company valued my contribution, that I'd done tremendous work on the project, but management had decided to appoint Mark to the position of regional manager. I remember how my fingers went numb, how my ears started ringing. I looked at the director and couldn't believe what I was hearing. Mark, a man who joined the company 2 years ago, who'd never worked overtime once, who didn't know the project from the inside like I did, who just knew how to smile at the right people and say the right things in meetings. I asked why. My voice sounded hollow. The director spread his hands, explained that Mark had shown excellent client communication skills. Management believed he was better suited for the role. Communication. They chose him for his smile and handshakes. I'd slaved away for 3 years. Came in first, left last. Pulled out of failing situations. Saved deals everyone thought were dead. And they chose him. I left the office, sat at my desk, and just stared at the monitor, seeing nothing. Rage boiled inside. That evening I came home. Anna was already there. She was standing in the kitchen, pouring herself wine. I told her everything. She listened silently, without interrupting. When I finished, she took a sip from her glass and looked at me. She said it was unfair, said it calmly, too calmly. I expected more. Expected her to get angry with me, to support me, to say the company were idiots. But she just nodded. She asked what I was going to do. I answered that I didn't know, maybe I'd look for another position. She came closer, looked into my eyes. Her gray eyes were cold, but something else flickered in them. Curiosity? Calculation? She said I could leave, or I could show them they were wrong. I didn't understand how. She slowly walked around me, stood behind me, put her hands on my shoulders, said that Mark thinks he's untouchable, thinks he earned that position. But everyone has weak points. I turned to her, asked what she was talking about. She smiled, barely noticeably, said something about his wife, Sofia. She'd heard about her, bright, beautiful, loves attention. Anna hinted that Sofia was lonely, that Mark was too busy with work. I didn't remember details about Sofia. I didn't care then. I asked what she meant. Anna leaned closer, her lips almost touched my ear. She said I could show him that he's not as untouchable as he thinks, that even what he considers his can be taken away. I pulled back, looked at her. Asked directly, was she suggesting I sleep with his wife? She shrugged, said she was suggesting I take back control. Reminded me that I'd always said I couldn't stand being used. Suggested I show that I could play by the same rules. At the time, it seemed like madness to me. Childish revenge. I brushed it off. But the thought remained. The following days, I couldn't stop thinking about it. About Mark. About his smug smile. About how he shook my hand the day after the announcement and said no hard feelings, that I'd done great work. No hard feelings. He took my position and said no hard feelings. I started looking for Sofia on social media, scrolled through her photos. She really was bright. A blonde, always in bright dresses, always with a smile. Lots of selfies, lots of posts about interior design, about meetings with girlfriends. Mark was barely on her pages. A couple of shared photos over the past year. Not a single post about her beloved husband or their anniversary. Maybe Anna was right. Maybe things weren't so smooth between them. I started imagining how it would be, how I'd accidentally meet Sofia, start talking. She'd smile, we'd have a drink, talk, and then it would be perfect revenge, not through work, through what Mark considers personal. Through his wife. Anna didn't bring up the topic again. She just sometimes looked at me and asked how things were at work. I answered briefly. She nodded. But I could see she was waiting for me to do something. A week ago, I learned that Sofia often went to a bar downtown. Anna's friend casually mentioned it over dinner, or not so casually. Anna looked at me across the table then and smiled slightly. The next day I went there. Not on purpose, just stopped in for a drink after work. And she wasn't there. I came again, and again. And yesterday she was there. Sitting alone, looking at her phone, drinking something pink. I approached, introduced myself, said we'd met at the corporate event. She remembered. Smiled. We started talking. She was open, easy. Nothing like Anna. She complained about work, about clients. I listened, nodded, ordered another round. She rarely mentioned Mark, only when I asked. He's always busy. They used to spend time together often, now less so. There was no warmth in her voice. Only fatigue. And I realized Anna was right. They had problems. I flirted. She responded. We drank more. At some point, she touched my hand and suggested going to her place. Mark was on a business trip today. I agreed. Not because I wanted her. Because I wanted to hurt him. Mark. We got in a taxi. She laughed, told a story about her friend. I looked out the window and felt a strange satisfaction. I was doing this. I was taking something personal from him, something important. We went up to her place. She opened the door, turned on the light. The apartment was big, expensive, lots of white, lots of glass. She poured us more wine, we drank. After that, fog. I remember fragments, her laughter. Music, hands on skin, heat. And then, nothing. Blackout. And morning, when I opened my eyes and saw her next to me, dead. I wanted to get revenge on Mark. But instead, it seems, I killed his wife. I'm sitting on the edge of a stranger's bed trying to remember, forcing my brain to go through the fog, through the black hole where memory should be. But there's nothing there, only fragments, flashes, sensations without pictures. We went up to her apartment. I remember that for sure, the elevator, mirrors on the walls, her reflection, bright dress, loose hair. She was saying something, laughing. I was smiling, but inside there was a strange feeling. Not arousal, not anticipation, something else. Cold satisfaction. I wasn't doing this for her, for him, Mark. She opened the door, turned on the light. The apartment was exactly as I'd imagined. Expensive. Tastelessly expensive. Lots of white marble, huge windows, designer furniture, everything screaming, "Look how successful we are." Sofia kicked off her shoes, went to the kitchen, got out a bottle of wine, red, expensive, judging by the label. She said Mark brought it from Italy, added with a smirk that he wouldn't even notice if one bottle went missing. She handed me a glass. I took it, drank. The wine was tart, thick, too thick. We sat on the couch. She put on music, something slow, jazzy, talked about something, her work, her latest project. I half listened, nodded, drank. At some point she fell silent, looked at me. She said I was nothing like Mark, explained, I listen, and he never listens. He just waits for her to stop talking so he can say something of his own. I felt a pang of pity, but quickly pushed it away. I didn't care what their marriage was like. I didn't care if she was happy or not. I came here with one goal. She moved closer, laid her head on my shoulder. I could smell her perfume, sweet, suffocating. She whispered that she was lonely. I put my arm around her, mechanically, as any man would in such a situation. She raised her face, kissed me. I responded. We stood up, went to the bedroom. She turned on the floor lamp by the bed, soft, warm light. After that, fragments again. I remember her unbuttoning my shirt, remember her hands on my skin, remember how we fell onto the bed. Remember heat, breathing, movement. And then, something changed. I can't explain what exactly, just a feeling that reality became blurred, as if I was looking at everything through cloudy glass. My head was spinning, stronger than it should have from wine. I'd drunk a lot, but not that much. Sounds became muffled, music, her voice. Everything seemed distant. I remember her face above me, or below me, I'm not sure. Remember her saying something, but I can't make out the words. Remember, hands. My hands. On her neck, or was she holding my hands? Everything mixed together. Flash, her eyes wide open. Flash, my breathing, heavy, ragged. Flash, darkness. And then, nothing. Blackout. When I woke up, it was morning. My head was splitting, my mouth was dry, and she was lying next to me. Dead. I'm trying to understand. What happened in those hours I don't remember. We had sex, that's obvious. Clothes on the floor, rumpled sheets, the smell in the room. But at what point did everything go wrong? Anna and I had our games. Control, power, sometimes roughness, but always boundaries, always consent. Sofia didn't know about this. She didn't know I liked to dominate, that sometimes I liked to feel power. Maybe I crossed the line. Maybe in a drunken haze, in that black hole of memory, I did something I shouldn't have? I look at my hands, scratches, red marks on my wrists. Did she resist? Or did I leave marks on her? I stand up, walk over to her body, force myself to look more carefully. The marks on her neck, bluish, distinct, fingers, thumb on one side, the rest on the other. Classic strangulation. But something's wrong. The marks are too neat, too even. As if someone pressed methodically, without a struggle. Usually when a person suffocates, they resist, scratch the attacker's hands, fight. But on my hands there are only scratches, light, superficial. And on her hands, nothing, nails clean, skin undamaged. How is that possible? Maybe she was too drunk or on something else. I look around, glasses on the nightstand, the wine bottle, almost empty. Did we drink it together? I try to remember how much I drank. At the bar, 2, maybe 3 cocktails. Here, a glass of wine, or 2. That shouldn't be enough to completely black out my memory. Unless I walk over to the glasses, pick up one, smell it, wine residue, nothing unusual. Pick up the second, the one she seemed to be drinking from. Same smell, wine, nothing else. But then where did the blackout come from? I sit on the floor, lean my back against the wall, close my eyes. Think. If it was me, if I really strangled her, why don't I remember? I've never lost control like this before, even drunk, even in the roughest moments with Anna. I always knew what I was doing. And here, nothing, emptiness. As if someone erased a piece from my memory. I open my eyes, look at Sofia. She's lying quietly, too peacefully. As if she didn't fight. As if she didn't know she was dying. And then a thought strikes me. What if it wasn't me? What if in those hours I don't remember, there was someone else here? But that's insane. The door was locked from the inside, no signs of break-in. No one but the two of us. If it wasn't me, then who? I shake my head, try to push away the paranoid thoughts. Of course it was me. All the facts point to it. But deep inside, in the place I'm afraid to look, a strange, frightening feeling grows. That I don't understand something. That someone wants me to think I did this.
My name is Mark. I'm 37 years old, and for the past 12 years, I was married to the brightest woman I've ever met, Sofia. When I say bright, I mean it literally. She couldn't enter a room unnoticed. Always loud laughter, always gestures, always attention on her. Blonde, high heels, dresses that cost more than an average salary. She was like a flash of light in my measured life. We met when I was 25. I was just starting my career, she was studying design. We ran into each other at a party of mutual friends. She was dancing in the center of the room. I was standing by the wall with a glass. She approached first. She said I was too serious, invited me to dance. I didn't dance, never liked it, but with her, I danced. We got married a year later. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. I, ambitious, driven. She, creative, vibrant. I built a career, she built interiors. We bought an apartment, cars, went on vacations. From the outside, everything looked flawless. But inside, honestly, something had shifted in recent years. Sofia became demanding, not in a bad way, just she always needed more attention, more time, more emotions. And I didn't have time. 2 years ago, I moved to a new company, large, international, growth opportunities, serious money, connections. I understood this was my chance. I worked 12 hours a day, came home late, went on business trips. Sofia complained, gently at first, then more and more often. Said we barely talked, that I didn't even ask how her day went, that she felt lonely. I nodded, promised that soon everything would get better, that when I got promoted it would be easier. 2 weeks ago I got that promotion. Regional manager, what I'd been working toward for the past 2 years. Sofia was happy. We celebrated. She asked if I could spend more time at home now. I lied, said of course. But actually I knew there would only be more work now. I didn't want to disappoint her, so I just avoided those conversations. Yesterday morning I left on a business trip. Was supposed to return only tonight. Sofia knew. She said she'd finally be able to spend the evening with girlfriends. I kissed her goodbye. She was smiling. Everything was as usual. And this morning the police called me. The voice on the phone was official, dry. They told me to urgently come home, that there had been an accident with my wife. I didn't understand at first. Asked what kind of accident. After a pause, they informed me that my wife was found dead in our apartment, that the police would like to ask me a few questions. I remember how the phone slipped from my hand, how I sat on the edge of the bed in the hotel room and just stared at the wall. Sofia, dead. How is that possible? I rushed home on the first flight. The police were already there. The apartment was cordoned off. They wouldn't let me in. A detective took me aside, asked questions. Where I was last night, could I confirm it? Did I know what Sofia was planning to do? Did we have problems in our marriage? I answered, on a business trip. Yes, I can confirm with tickets and hotel reservation. She said she'd spend the evening with girlfriends. No, there were no problems, everything was normal. The last question sounded quieter, almost careful. The detective asked if I knew that yesterday evening my wife wasn't alone. I didn't understand. Asked what he meant. He informed me that there was a man with her, that he was found in the morning next to the body. The world around me swayed. A man. With Sofia. The detective was watching me carefully, studying my reaction. He asked if I knew anyone named Alex. I did. Alex, my colleague, the one who worked in the company before me, the one who expected to get the promotion instead of me. I saw how he looked at me after the announcement. Anger, hatred. He could barely contain himself. But for him to... I asked what he was doing with my wife, heard my voice from the outside, hollow, foreign. The detective answered that they were still finding out, but according to preliminary data, strangulation. The police believe it happened during intimacy. I couldn't breathe. Sofia, with him, in our apartment, in our bed, cheating on me. And he killed her. The detective kept talking, but I couldn't hear anymore. Only one thing was spinning in my head. How could I not have noticed? How long had this been going on? Was this the first time, or had she been seeing him before? All those evenings when I stayed late at work, when I went on business trips, was she with him? I felt something dark rising inside. Not grief, not shock. Rage. At her, at him, at myself. I went back to the hotel, sat on the bed, took out my phone. Opened the text thread with Sofia. The last messages were yesterday morning. I wished her a good evening, wrote that I loved her. She responded the same way, that we'd see each other tomorrow. Nothing unusual, no hints. I scrolled further, back, looking for something, any sign, and found it. A month ago, her message asking if I was staying late again. I answered that yes. The meeting ran long, I'd come home late. She wrote only one word, okay. Short, dry, no emojis, no usual endearments. I didn't pay attention then. Now I saw. She'd already distanced herself then. I scrolled through her social media, photos, posts. In the past month, not a single photo of us together. Only selfies, work, girlfriends. As if I didn't exist in her life. I closed the phone, squeezed it in my hand so hard my knuckles turned white. Sofia is dead. Alex killed her. But why don't I feel what I should be feeling? Why, instead of grief, only cold? Why is the only thing I can think about the fact that she betrayed me? And why somewhere deep inside, in a place I'm afraid to look, lives a quiet, terrible thought? Maybe this was supposed to happen. I'm sitting in a hotel room trying to gather my thoughts. The police said I won't be going home anytime soon. The apartment is a crime scene. Forensics. Evidence. I can't enter until they're finished. I should be feeling pain, should be sobbing, calling Sofia's relatives, arranging a funeral. But I'm just sitting and staring at the wall and thinking. The detective asked strange questions, looked at me too closely, as if searching for something in my answers. Asked where I was last night from 8 to midnight. I answered, at a meeting with partners, then dinner, then returned to the hotel. He asked if anyone could confirm it. I said, yes, colleagues at the meeting, waiter at the restaurant, hotel receptionist. He wrote it down, nodded, but then asked if I travel on business often. I answered, yes, once every 2 weeks, sometimes more. He asked if my wife knew my schedule. I said, of course, I always told her in advance. He looked at me for a long time, too long, asked if she always knew when I wouldn't be home. I didn't understand then what he was getting at. Said, yes, of course. He nodded, made a note. I didn't think about it then, but now, sitting here, I'm replaying that conversation in my head. Why was he interested in whether Sofia knew my schedule? Because she planned a meeting with Alex for the evening when I'd be away. Logical. But something about this doesn't add up. If this was an affair, long, calculated, why meet in our apartment? Why risk it? There are hotels, rental apartments, 1,000 places where no one would recognize them. But she brought him home, to our bed. This wasn't just cheating. It was a demonstration, revenge. For what? For not giving her enough time? For working too much? I stand up, pace around the room, try to construct the picture. Sofia yesterday evening alone. I'm on a business trip. She goes to a bar, meets Alex. Or did they arrange it beforehand? They drink, return to our place, go upstairs. And then he strangles her. Why? The detective said, preliminarily during intimacy. An accident? Loss of control? Or intentional? I take out my phone, Google Alex's name, find his social media profile. 33 years old, married, wife is a psychologist. Why did he go to my wife? Revenge? For the promotion? That seems too extreme. Sleep with a colleague's wife to spite him? Or did he actually feel something for her? I go back to Sofia's profile, scroll through her followers, look for Alex. No, he's not there. She's not following him. He's not following her. Strange. If they had an affair, even a short one, there are usually traces, likes, comments, something. Here, nothing. As if they met for the first time yesterday. I close the phone, sit down again. Think about yesterday. In the morning, Sofia was normal, even cheerful, hugged me goodbye, asked me to call when I arrived. I called. In the evening, around 8. She didn't answer right away, then picked up. Her voice was slightly muffled. I asked how things were. She answered that fine, sitting with a girlfriend, drinking wine. Music in the background, noise, voices. I asked where they were. She said, at a bar, that one her friend likes. I asked her not to stay out too late. She laughed, said I know her. We said goodbye. I hung up. I didn't think anything of it then. Now I'm thinking, was she really with a girlfriend, or was it a lie? Maybe she was already sitting with Alex then. I take out my phone again, call Sofia's friend, the one she supposedly was with yesterday. Rings, then an answer. She says my name, voice trembling. Says she just found out that she's so sorry. I interrupt, ask, was she with Sofia yesterday evening? Pause. She answers, no, she was home. Asks, why? My heart clenches. I say that Sofia told me she was with her. Another pause. long. She says that Sofia the last couple of weeks often said she was busy, that they almost didn't see each other. She thought Sofia was with me. I thank her, hang up. So she lied. Sofia planned this meeting, made up an alibi in advance, told me she was with a girlfriend, told the girlfriend she was with me. This wasn't a casual fling. This was planned. But if so, why did she bring him home? Why such a risk? I remember the detective's questions again. My wife always knew my schedule. Yes, she knew. She knew I'd leave, knew I'd return only tonight. She had time, a whole night. I close my eyes, try to push away thoughts that are beginning to form into a terrible picture. Sofia knew, planned, lied. But why? Just to sleep with Alex? Get revenge on me for inattention? Or I flinch. Or did she want me to find out? No, that's insane. But the thought won't let go. What if this wasn't just cheating? What if she wanted to provoke something bigger? Divorce? A scandal? I think about money, about our apartment, about joint accounts. We didn't have a prenup. If she'd filed for divorce, she would have gotten half of everything. Maybe she was planning to leave, and Alex was a way to push me toward it. But then why is she dead? I shake my head. Too many questions, too few answers. I call the detective again. Say I have information. Sofia lied to me yesterday. She said she was with a girlfriend, but the girlfriend confirmed they weren't together. The detective is silent, then thanks me, says they'll check it out. I add that I want to know exactly how she died, all the details. He starts to object. I say I have a right to know. He sighs. Explains, strangulation, marks on the neck indicate manual compression. Time of death approximately between 10 p.m. and midnight. I ask if Alex confessed. He answers, no, Alex claims he doesn't remember, says he was drunk, memory blackout. I smirk, bitterly, say, of course, convenient. The detective says they're conducting forensics, blood tests, everything will be established. I thank him, hang up, sit back on the bed, and suddenly realize I haven't cried, not once. My wife is dead, and I haven't shed a single tear. I feel anger, resentment, even relief somewhere, deep down, but not grief. What does that say about me? Or about us? Maybe our marriage died long before she did. Maybe we both knew it, but we're afraid to admit it.
My name is Anna, I'm 31 years old, and I've never believed in love at first sight. I'm a psychologist. I work with people who've destroyed their lives because of emotions, because of impulses, because they let feelings control their decisions. I learned not to make that mistake. When I met Alex 3 years ago, I didn't fall in love, I analyzed. 30 years old, ambitious, works at a large international company, climbing the career ladder, good income, prospects, connections, controlling personality type. That suited me. We both understood what power was. I liked him not because he was handsome or romantic. I liked him because he was promising. I choose partners the same way I chose university or work, by criteria, by calculation. That doesn't make me cold, it makes me smart. We got married after 8 months, without excessive sentimentality, without vows of eternal love, just two people who fit each other's parameters. Our relationship was specific. We both loved control. I to dominate, he to submit within safe boundaries, where he could later reclaim control in normal life. BDSM was our language. I was the mistress. He agreed to that role. It worked. Until a certain point. 2 weeks ago, Alex didn't get the promotion. He came home pale, silent, said the company chose another candidate, a man named Mark. I listened, nodded, said the right things, that it was unfair, that he deserved more. But inside, I was already calculating. Alex had worked 3 years for this promotion. Everything led to it. All his plans were built around this position: salary, status, opportunities. And he lost. Lost to a man who'd worked at the company less time. This wasn't just a failure. This was a signal. A signal that Alex wasn't as promising as I thought. That he doesn't know how to win where it matters. That I may have bet on the wrong person. I didn't tell him that. I just started observing how he reacts, how he handles defeat, what he plans next. And I saw weakness. He was angry, resentful. Instead of looking for new opportunities, he got stuck in hatred for Mark, fixation, inability to move forward. That's not the type of thinking that leads to success. I started asking myself questions. How much time will pass before Alex gets the next chance at promotion? A year? 2? 5? What if he loses again? What if I tied my life to a man who doesn't know how to win? I'm a psychologist. I know how people work. I know that Alex's personality type, controlling, dominant at work, but submissive in personal life, has a breaking point. When control is taken away in one sphere, he tries to reclaim it in another. Sometimes this leads to violence. I've seen it in my practice. Men who lose their job, status, money, and start compensating through aggression at home. Alex was never aggressive, but after that promotion announcement, something changed. He became silent, tense. Sometimes I'd catch his gaze on me, strange, assessing. As if he was thinking about something but not saying it. I wasn't afraid, I was ready. But I also started thinking about the future. About my future. Without Alex. I'm not one who stays in a relationship out of habit or fear of loneliness. I stay as long as it's beneficial, as long as the partner meets my criteria. Alex stopped meeting them. He lost his promise, lost his confidence, lost what made him interesting to me. I started looking for options. Not emotionally, rationally. I wasn't planning to divorce immediately. Divorce is long, expensive, messy. You need reasons, you need evidence, you need strategy. I just started keeping distance, working more, talking to him less, observing from the side. The last few months I was cold, not on purpose, it's my nature, but I became even more distant. Alex noticed, sometimes asked if everything was okay. I nodded, said I was tired, difficult client, lots of work. He didn't dig deeper. That was enough for him. 2 weeks ago, when he told me about not getting the promotion, I made a choice. I decided to push him. Not directly. I never act directly. I just mentioned Sofia, Mark's wife. Said she was bright, beautiful, loves attention, hinted that things between her and Mark weren't smooth. I saw interest spark in Alex's eyes. I knew what he would do. Revenge is the most predictable motive for a man who's lost control. I didn't tell him to act, I just planted a seed. And then, he was on his own. I didn't know it would go this far. Yesterday morning, Alex left for work as usual. In the evening, texted that he'd be late, said he was meeting friends. I didn't ask who, I didn't care. I spent the evening at home, worked on a report for a client, went to bed around midnight. Alex didn't come back. In the morning, the police called me. The voice was dry, official. They informed me that my husband was in custody, that there'd been an incident, that I needed to come to the station. I asked what happened. They only told me that Alex was suspected of murder. I hung up, sat motionless for a few minutes, then got dressed, drove to the station. On the way, I wasn't thinking about whether Alex killed someone. I was thinking about what this meant for me, for my career, for my reputation, for my future. If Alex really killed Sofia, and I'm almost certain that's what happened, then my choice 3 years ago was even worse than I thought. I didn't just choose a loser. I chose a murderer. When I arrived at the station, the detective took me aside, asked questions. Where was I last night? Home, alone. Can I confirm it? No, no one saw me. Did I know about Alex's plans? No. Did I know Sofia? No. Only heard the name. All true, technically. The detective looked at me carefully, studied my reaction. I know that look. I'm a psychologist. I look at clients the same way when searching for lies. But I wasn't lying. I just wasn't saying everything. After the interrogation, they let me see Alex. He was sitting in a cell, pale, lost. When he saw me, he tried to stand. Started saying he doesn't remember, that it was a mistake, that he doesn't know how it happened. I listened silently, then said one thing, get a lawyer, and left. I didn't stay to support him, didn't hug him, didn't say I believed in him. Because I don't. And because I don't care anymore. 3 years ago, I chose Alex because he was promising. Now he's just a burden. And I'm not one who carries other people's mistakes. I'll get in the car, drive home, and start planning how to get out of this with minimal losses. Because I'm Anna. And I always choose what benefits me. The police released me after questioning, told me not to leave town. I wasn't planning to. I returned home to the apartment I'd shared with Alex for the past 3 years. Now it's just me here. I sat on the couch, the same one where 2 weeks ago I talked to Alex about his failure, where I mentioned Sofia. Should I feel guilty? No. I didn't force him to go to her, didn't give him drugs, didn't strangle her with my own hands. I just mentioned that she was bright, beautiful, lonely, that Mark was too busy with work. I thought Alex would simply try to seduce her, sleep with her, maybe take a photo, tell someone, hurt Mark through his wife. Childish revenge, predictable. I didn't think he'd kill her. The phone vibrates. Message from a colleague. She writes that she heard about what happened with my husband, that it's terrible, offers support. I reply briefly, thank her, say I'll manage. Close the phone. I'll manage. Of course I'll manage. I always manage. The past 6 months have been tense. Not because of Alex, because of work. I had a client, difficult case. A man of 37 years. Successful, ambitious, came with marriage problems, felt emptiness, couldn't build an emotional connection with his wife. Classic case of emotional burnout in a relationship. We worked on it for 6 months. Sessions were productive. He opened up gradually, talked about pressure at work, about how his wife demands attention he doesn't have. I helped him see patterns, understand what he's looking for in relationships, what gives him a sense of power. Around the 3rd session, he asked me about the concept of control, about whether relationships can be healthy if one partner dominates and the other submits. I explained professionally, talked about BDSM as a form of therapy, about how for some people, giving up control is a way to free themselves from constant pressure of decision-making. He listened attentively, asked questions, deep ones, personal ones. I answered, maybe too openly, maybe I crossed the boundary of professionalism. But he was an interesting client, smart, analytical. I enjoyed working with him. The past 3 months, our sessions became longer. He stayed after appointments. We talked not just about his problems, about theory, about concepts of power. Sometimes I noticed how he looked at me, not like a patient at a therapist, differently. I didn't encourage it, but I didn't stop it either, because I was curious. A month ago, he missed a session, wrote that there was an emergency at work, apologized. I replied that it was fine. We rescheduled the meeting. A week later, he came in excited, agitated, said he got a promotion. the position he dreamed of for 2 years. I congratulated him, asked how he felt. He answered, strong, for the first time in a long time. I smiled. Then he added that there was another candidate for this position, that he'd worked there longer. Everyone thought they'd choose him. I nodded, said they chose him because he was a better fit. He agreed. After a pause, he added that he almost felt guilty, that the other candidate looked devastated, as if he'd lost everything. I made a note in my notebook. Typical winner's guilt. I told him it was a normal reaction, but that he shouldn't let someone else's pain poison his success. He nodded. Something changed after that session. He became more confident, more assertive. And then, 2 weeks ago, I learned that the other candidate was Alex, my husband. I didn't know it before. The client never named the company, never named the rival. But when Alex came home and said he didn't get the promotion, that his position was taken by a man named Mark, I understood. My husband, my client. Irony of fate. I didn't tell Alex, didn't tell the client. I just thought. 2 people in my life, one won, the other lost. One promising, the other no longer. I started comparing, couldn't stop. Alex, stuck in the past, fixated on resentment. Client, moving forward, confident in himself. Alex, lost control, became irritable. Client, gained power, became calm. The choice seemed obvious. 2 weeks ago, when I mentioned Sofia to Alex, I was only thinking that he'd get distracted, find something to occupy himself, stop being a burden. I didn't know that Sofia was my client's wife. Or did I? Sometimes I'm not sure I remember exactly. The past days are blurred. Too much stress, too many variables. Yesterday evening, I was home, alone, working on a report. That's true. But the phone rang, twice, unknown number. I didn't answer. Now I'm thinking, maybe it was the client? Maybe he was trying to warn me about something? I don't know. In the morning, the police called. Said Alex was detained, that he's suspected of murdering Sofia, Mark's wife, my client. Everything came together. Too perfectly. Or too terribly. I went to the station, answered the detective's questions. Was home, alone, can't confirm, didn't know Alex's plans. Didn't know Sofia. True, all true. Then I saw Alex in the cell. He was pale, lost, asking for help. I told him to get a lawyer and left because I don't know how to help him. Don't know what really happened. Don't know if he's guilty. Don't know if I'm guilty. The phone vibrates again. Unknown number. I'll look at the screen for a long time, then turn off the sound. Some calls are better not answered. Some connections are better not confirmed, especially when the police might be monitoring. I close my eyes, think about the past 6 months, about the choices I made, about the words I said. Everything was innocent, professional, accidental. But now, when everything came together like this, I'm beginning to doubt. Maybe I missed something. Maybe someone is playing a more complex game. A game where I thought I was in control. But actually, I was a pawn.
My name is Dr. Alina Carter, forensic psychologist. I was invited to analyze the case of Sofia's murder. At first glance, everything seems obvious. A man, a dead woman, memory blackout, revenge motive. But when I studied the testimonies, I understood there are too many inconsistencies here. Alex, impulsive controller. Alex, 33 years old, ambitious manager, lost the promotion that went to Mark, a blow to self-esteem. In his relationship with wife Anna, he practiced BDSM, where he took a submissive role. For someone who controls everything at work, Giving up power at home is relief. Key anomaly: memory blackout. Alcohol intoxication causes fragments, snippets, fog. But Alex has a complete black hole. Initial toxicology showed only alcohol. However, upon repeated in-depth testing, they found microdoses of benzodiazepines, sedative drugs that with alcohol cause amnesia. The dose was small, almost at detection threshold, as if someone calculated precisely. Sofia, emotional extrovert. Sofia, 34 years old, depended on external validation, her social media full of selfies. Husband Mark worked 12 hours. She felt invisible. Meeting Alex, seeking validation, not betrayal. Oddity: why did she bring Alex home instead of to a hotel? This is irrationally risky. Someone knew she'd be there. Mark, cold narcissist. Mark, 37 years old, top manager, learning of his wife's death. He didn't cry. His first emotion was rage at the betrayal, not grief. For a narcissist, a partner is an extension of ego. Betrayal equals insult to status. He was Anna's client for 6 months, came with complaints about emptiness in marriage. Anna introduced him to the concept of BDSM therapy. Mark, a dominant all his life, tried submission for the first time, gave control to a woman. This became a revelation. Oddities: Mark was too actively investigating on the day of the murder, calling, demanding details. This isn't behavior of someone in shock. His alibi is perfect. Business trip, tickets, receipts. Too much confirmation. Anna, pragmatic psychologist. Anna, 30 years old, psychologist. Cold, rational. Her testimony is a clinical report without emotions. She describes marriage to Alex as a transaction by criteria: prospects, income. When he lost the promotion, she started reconsidering the contract. Anna dominated in BDSM with Alex, also introduced Mark to this world through therapy. Both men gave her power. A therapist cannot enter into intimate relationships with a client. This is therapeutic abuse. Her description of Mark as interesting sounds too personal. After Alex's arrest, she only said, "Get a lawyer," and left, extremely cold. On the evening of the murder, an unknown number called her. She didn't answer, then said, "Some calls are better not answered. Some connections are better not confirmed." She knew who was calling. Inconsistencies. Marks on Sofia's neck are symmetrical, methodical, not chaotic as during struggle. She didn't resist. Why? Either unconscious or didn't know she was dying. On Alex's hands, light scratches, not deep wounds from fighting for life. Microdoses of sedatives in his blood. Who added them? Sofia? Why sedate a partner before sex? Someone else had access to the wine. Anna claims she didn't know. Sofia was Mark's wife, but she was the one Alex mentioned as the target. Where did information about Sofia come from? Through Mark in sessions, she knew more than she admits. What I see. Alex, victim with memory blackout. Sofia, pawn. Mark, too cold, alibi suspicious. Anna, manipulations precise, knowledge specific. Someone planned the murder, knew Alex would come to Sofia, added the drug, strangled Sofia while Alex was unconscious, left him as the suspect. In the next part, one will reveal the true picture of events that night. When I put together all the evidence, psychological profiles and timelines, the picture became clear. What looked like an impulsive murder was a planned conspiracy. Reconstruction of that night. Alex met Sofia at a bar. They drank, returned to her place. Sofia poured wine, the same one Mark brought from Italy. They drank, talked, started getting closer. And then Alex began losing consciousness, not from alcohol, from microdoses of sedatives mixed into the wine. He fell into a black hole of amnesia. Sofia also felt drowsy. The drug was in the bottle she opened herself. She lay on the bed, not understanding what was happening. And then someone else arrived. Mark the killer. Mark strangled Sofia with his own hands. The marks on her neck are symmetrical, methodical. She didn't resist. She was under the influence of sedatives. Mark strangled her slowly, controlling every movement, as if executing a rehearsed task. Why didn't Sofia fight? Because she didn't understand she was dying. The drug weakened her consciousness. Then Mark took the sleeping Alex's hands, placed them on Sofia's neck, left his prints, lightly scratched Alex's hands with Sofia's nails, created the appearance of struggle, scattered clothes, rumpled the bed. Perfect crime scene. The lover wakes up next to a dead woman, remembers nothing, evidence points to him. Mark left the apartment, returned to the hotel. In the morning, received a call from police, feigned shock. But how did he know everything? Questions that reveal the conspiracy. How did Mark know Sofia's address? He knew his own apartment, but how did he know Alex would be there that evening? Who mixed the sleeping pills and the wine? Mark was on a business trip. He couldn't have prepared the bottle in advance. Where did the idea come from to frame Alex specifically? Mark and Alex are colleagues, but not enemies. Why him specifically? All threads lead to one person. Anna, the gray cardinal. Anna planned everything from start to finish. For 6 months, she worked with Mark in therapy, learned about his dead marriage with Sofia, learned about his thirst for new experiences, introduced him to the world of BDSM, open submission, where he gave up control for the first time. Mark, a dominant all his life, was stunned. Anna became a revelation to him. He became psychologically dependent on her classic pattern of coercive control. Anna isn't just a therapist. She's dominant in BDSM with 2 men, Alex and Mark, both submitted to her. This isn't just intimate practice, it's a tool of power. When Alex lost the promotion to Mark, Anna saw an opportunity. She planted in Alex the idea of seducing Sofia, revenge through a colleague's wife. Alex thought it was his plan. Simultaneously, she manipulated Mark in sessions, said Sofia was preventing his happiness, that he deserved better, that some problems are solved radically. Anna didn't give orders. She implanted ideas, sowed seeds that sprouted in both men's heads. Mark, obsessed with Anna and her psychological domination, agreed. The conspiracy scheme. Anna informed Mark that Alex would come to Sofia that night, gave the address, her own apartment, where she lives with Alex. Explained the plan, mixed sedatives in the wine. Anna is a psychologist, had access to drugs. Wait until both fall asleep. Enter, kill Sofia, frame Alex. Mark created a perfect alibi, business trip with tickets and receipts. But at night, he quietly returned. Hotel doesn't record room exits. Executed the plan, returned back. On the evening of the murder, Anna received 2 calls from Mark plan confirmation. She didn't answer, knowing police might check. Motives. Anna, get rid of Alex. He stopped being promising. And Sofia, Mark's wife, an obstacle. Get Mark. Successful, psychologically dependent on her. Mark, get rid of Sofia. Dead marriage. Get Anna. Obsession. Insurance for wife's death. Frame Alex. Competitor. Perfect crime. 2 killers. One physically executed. The other psychologically controlled. Anna, the gray cardinal. Her power through BDSM, therapy, and manipulation was so strong, that Mark, a successful top manager, killed for her. But they didn't account for one thing. Psychological analysis reveals not only actions, it reveals patterns of power. And Anna's power over two strong men was too obvious to remain unnoticed.